all the municipal bodies, including the BBMP, an expert report. What should be the quality of supervision of various construction work that is taking place? It came up, the idea came to me because of one building in Whitefield, Shantiniketan Constructions collapsed and 2 people died there. Workers, of course, no value for their life and all. So in detail, we wrote to the government at what stage, according to the various enactments, supervision should take place. First of all, when a plan is sanctioned, go to the site and see whether this plan is sanctioned in accordance with the law that is permits the construction, Town Planning Act. Then when the foundation is dug, I am told an engineer can easily make out this foundation is meant for how many floors. If supposing the sanction is only for 4 floors and the foundation seems to go to 8 floors, it gives you an idea, and the ward engineer should go there and report it to the higher officers to stop it. When it comes to the lintel level, you will know that what is the setback that is going to leave. Will it be according to law? A detailed report I have sent. No action was taken. Few months later in Ballari, a multi-story construction building collapsed and 29 people died, again labor. Nothing has happened. I sent a report about 2 years back after consulting the traffic police and various other organizations about the illegal road humps. It is not a safety measure at all. Indian Road Congress has laid down what should be the specification for construction of road humps and where all it can be there. You can't have a highway and then put road humps. Travel from here to Bangalore airport. I can understand in intersections where there is no traffic light, you put road humps. No. There are road humps right under the traffic light. And the danger is to the two-wheelers, people who are riding the two-wheelers. We have sent report after report about the irregularities in the hospitals, in the village panchayat administration. Mahatma Gandhi is supposed to have said that take the administration to the villages. Don't allow or compel a villager to come to the town. We amended the constitution to a Panchayat Raj Act. We have, for a small village of 5,000, 6,000, a village panchayat ruled by the locals. But honestly, my sincere opinion is that we have not taken administration to the villages. We have taken politics and corruption to villages. There was not so much politics in the villages. Today in the same house, because of reservation for women, please don't mistake me because I'm bringing in gender, or reservation for a particular community, in the house itself, the daughter-in-law is fighting election against the mother-in-law, the brother is fighting election against the brother because that's a reserved constituency. What have we taken? Then you want to know about the financial transactions? One small village in Karnataka, I don't want to name it, which is Naxal affected. Government gave under the Nirmala scheme for 64 toilets to be built. I got a report saying that no toilet has been built. I sent 2 of my officials to check. When they went there, they were met at the border of the village, taken to village panchayat office, sumptuously fed, then said, sir, this report is not completely correct. It's not true to say that 64 toilets have not been built. We are built. How many? 2. Where are they? In my house 1 and the president's house the other. And they have the temerity to say, local people don't know how to use this toilet. They're used to going open air. Development, how does it take this thing?
Sir, good evening. Good evening, sir. My name is Subhashish. Had a question. Sir, the Indian judiciary system, even today, with many revolutions still coming in, still is one of the most highly respected institutions of this country. I wanted to understand actually, in order to do certain things, maybe a sphere of influence is required, and certain appointments, for example, the Supreme Court judge is supposed to be one of the most respected appointments in this country. Now, some of those allegations that we read in the papers, maybe with Mr. Bhushan's revelations, what do you think is the role, how autonomous is the appointment in today's time? Is it autonomous, or maybe in your personal life, you were appointed as the Additional Solicitor General. At any point in time, were you asked to do favor to any vested groups or political parties? And if at all, then how did you manage to be in that sphere of influence and still impact? Because to be a sphere of influence, you would still need to be a part of the system rather than be outside it.
Yeah.
How would you have managed that, and how autonomously are these judges appointed? And is there any truth to what Mr. Bhushan has been revealing in the papers?
Well, I can't deny what Mr. Shanti Bhushan and his son Prashant Bhushan has stated, that there is no corruption in the judiciary. It has come out to the open. The Chief Justice himself has recommended the impeachment of a judge of the Calcutta High Court. Two lady judges of the Punjab High Court were under investigation for receiving bribe. Of course, one of them was found guilty of that because both carried the same first name, Nirmala. And there is about 30 odd judges of the Allahabad High Court as well as the subordinate court judges who are involved in corruption who are being investigated by the CBI. There is Delhi High Court scam is there about certain transactions and other things. And Karnataka has had its own share also. Everywhere it is there. We have read about the Tamil Nadu where a minister from the centre supposed to have told his lawyer friend to go and influence the judge. All these things are there. It is there. You yourself said Supreme Court judges are supposed to be honest. That word "suppose" has got a great meaning in it and all. But in reality, things may not be the same and all. But in the appointment system, it is not done by one person. It's an appointment to the Supreme Court is done by a collegium of 5 judges. The number is always increased to larger in this thing, so that there will be more participation. You can't expect all 5 to be bad. But very unfortunately, we still have that system of untouchability even in the judicial hierarchy. In the sense, a junior-most judge in the collegium of 5 thinks that he must always obey the Chief Justice's order or his thinking, maybe for various reasons. Therefore, very often people who don't deserve to be in the post get into the post. And another system is there, let me tell you. Today, earning of a lawyer is about 100 times more than the judge earns. Even a middle-aged lawyer. The salary has not really kept up, but I don't say in today's context it is not much of this thing. People who can be satisfied with what they get, nearly ₹1 lakh with all the perks, should be satisfied. They got a very good retirement benefit. But I take it in the context of what happened in 1914. In 1914, there was no Supreme Court in India, but we had high courts. High court judges were paid ₹4,000 salary. In 1947, after we attained independence, that was reduced to 3,500. Continued to be so till 1986. So you can imagine the rupee value of 1914 and 1986. Many good people did not accept judgeship. It had its own cascading effect on the quality of judges. At that point of time, when you don't get the best of people coming forward, when normally these posts you have to invite people to come. But once it starts by saying you influence to come, then that influence will never end. Now the salaries have gone up. It's pretty good comparatively. But the influence regime remains. This is the problem with the thing. And again, this disease of greed over need has definitely affected judicial system. It had affected even when I was there. I'm not saying it because now that I am out of it, things have become bad. No. 1975, there was a case of Justice Veeraswamy of the Madras High Court. 1990, There was the case of Veeraswamy's son-in-law, Mr. Ramaswamy, in the Supreme Court. Then there was various incidents came, but succeeding Chief Justices, what they did was, I don't want to bring down the reputation of my institution, I will not take any action. So he swept it under the carpet, because the public perception was, whether legislature becomes bad, whether the executive becomes bad, the judiciary is there to protect us. No more. That perception has been now really blown out of this thing. It's not in existence. Therefore, system is bad. It is along with the other system. That's one of the indications of the fact that everything is going bad everywhere unless you bring about a change.
The second part of the question,
That is? Oh, my influence, yes. Well, when I was an additional Solicitor General, I have never ever been contacted by anybody. When I was a Solicitor General, one person tried to influence me. I told the Attorney General, I don't want this case to be handled by me. Please give it to somebody else. And that was a message good enough for anybody else not to come to me. When I was a judge, I must be very frank and say, not a person tried, but sometimes you get a feeling that there's something wrong somewhere, then you just recuse yourself. Well, that question has arisen here also, that the government has no faith in me in inquiring into their illegal things, so they want a new commission of inquiry to be appointed. I have no difficulty with that. I have no interest to do that, but do it legally. In a hurry-burry, they forgot the constitutional provisions. Without taking my prior consent, which is a necessity under the Act, they did it. And I protested. Thereafter, they corrected themselves by bringing an amendment to that. But the matter is pending in the court. Now I say, I will obey the order of the court. I have to obey. There is no choice between that. But let me tell you, my young friends, one thing. All this concept of a person should be called guilty only after he is proved to be guilty is a myth. Till he is proved to be guilty, he is accused. Thereafter, if he is found guilty and punished, he is a convict. Don't talk about it because he has not yet been proved guilty. In India, as I told you, it takes 10 years in Karnataka for the first court. Who will remember that this chap is guilty? What was he?
ಹಲೋ ಸರ್,
Yeah.
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಸಂದೀಪ್. ಆಗಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಾತ್ರೋರಾತ್ರಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದು ರಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಕೆಲವು ದಿವಸ ಹಿಂದೆ ಅವರೇ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಅಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಈ ಪರ್ಮನೆಂಟ್ ಎನಿಮಿನಿಟಿ ಮತ್ತು ಟೆಂಪ್ರರಿ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಶಿಪ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ನೀವು?
ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ತಾವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ. What he said that they came in middle of the night. No, they came during the afternoon.
I stand corrected.
Okay. In politics, as they very proudly say, there is no permanent enemy and there is no permanent friend. They think that holds good for me also. I was a friend when they wanted me. I have become an enemy now. It's just the other way around. Therefore, you got to learn to accept all this. But my advice to you is don't trust a politician at any point of time. They all have come from the same school. Fortunately, not this institute, but they come from some other institute.
My question was, how do you maintain tranquility in such cases? What?
My conscience is clear. I do what I think I should do. If I am wrong, I have no difficulty in admitting that I am wrong. So I get a good night's sleep.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Hi sir, nice to have you here. My name is
Thank
Gaurav
you.
Narula.